I'm like, he obviously can't play golf. He's not going to go out and play polo. He's not I don't think he's an Olympic swimmer. I think that isn't his mental capacity.
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome back to
that show, Rooster and Bishop.
You made it, unfortunately, but you're here. You're here.
Now's your chance to click away.
Avert your eyes if you're sensitive.
No children allowed.
So we got a pretty good show for you today. We're going to kind of go over a couple of the current topics that are going on, and I got a couple of questions for Rooster that I'm just going to ask him straight out on his take on some of the entertainment world in the digital forum for games. But before we get to that, we're going to jump into, we're just going to hit the old search bar and see what comes up, and see what kind of craziness is going on in the world, and we'll kind of put our heads into it.
Right.
So
there's no shortage. So.
No, there's not any shortage. So you first hit it. Oh, that's lovely.
Deadly shootout in New Orleans.
That's lovely. I don't think I wanted to start off with that.
That's just great.
Oh yeah, I did read this today. This is pretty interesting. So I don't know if you saw this, but I'll pull this up. This was this is one of those moments where I don't think people really thought anything about it.
Oh my God.
They forgot to hit the end call button in the Bay Area. So an entire school board resigns just mere days after somebody accidentally left the virtual meeting on, and the board members were talking poorly about the parents. Now that is
Jesus.
Without going too far into it, what I did read was they basically were saying that making disparaging comments, saying that parents just wanted their babysitters back, and this last year has been way too hard on everybody.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Parents have had to readjust their lives and how they actually work, right? Parenting skills, and now back to teaching. I mean, most adults, including myself, when you have children, you're not a teacher in the respect of a traditional classroom. So parents don't really have to be dealing with stuff like this. Because, I mean, it's hard enough. And then the people that you have this trust into teaching your children, the person of authority or people of authority are just bad mouthing you.
Right.
That's not good. That is not good.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Oh my God. Bitch, if you call me out, I'm gonna fuck you up. It's a quote from the parent-teacher conference. Jesus Christ. That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was interesting. That was fun. They did. Well, Biden has changed some of the third stimulus for people, and we've talked about this off camera a lot. Is that there's just a lot of people out there that are still hurting, that haven't had any work, that have been on unemployment for months, and those benefits have run out or been reestablished and extended. But they did come up with a new monetary system on who is going to receive the third stimulus and who isn't, and it did cut out a lot of people, and it's pissed a lot of people off.
Really?
But we've talked about this. I feel like if you're a single person and you're making over $100,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
And you're working, are you that concerned over a $1,600,
exactly.
$1,400, or $1,200 check?
For real.
You're not.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not gonna die.
You'd almost prefer to take that as a deferred payment to taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure.
Right? Because what are you gaining out of it? You're not really gaining anything out of it. I mean, what's that? I mean, what's that? What is that to you?
What is that to me?
I mean, to you, I understand what it is, but to somebody that's got 100, makes 100,000
Yeah, exactly.
a year.
Yeah. And it's just extra money anyway. They're just gonna blow it on fucking whatever they want. If at that point, if they're not relying on it to survive.
Right. So everybody out there, let us hear your comments on that and what you think about the new third stimulus and the way that his administration has changed the numbers in that, and how do you think that's going to affect your life? we want to hear. We'll do our best to respond and go through the comments. But I feel like there's a lot of people, and they've dragged their feet too long, because I feel like the administration, that was one of their promissories when they came in, because they were going to get it done right now.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, over a month later, and there's no action, right? They're still dragging their feet, and there's that inner conflict that's happening. What are we doing with that? I mean, as a nation, who really has that big of blinders on that? They're like, wait a minute, no. You said you were going to do this,
right?
And now they're saying that.
Forget about it.
Now they're saying they won't even be able to approve it until March 15th.
Damn.
So we're still another 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
I hate to think about people if they're trying to pay their bills, if they're trying to decide on whether they're going to pay for heat or food.
Yeah, right. For
right?
real though, I can't even imagine being in that situation.
That's a huge impact on somebody's life. And the other thing that, and the town hall, I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of Biden's town hall he had with Anderson Cooper the other day.
Mm-hmm.
There was a series of questions, and one was the debt forgiveness program, okay, for college. And there's been a lot of talk about $50,000 worth of debt forgiveness. Now that's a lot.
Wow.
That's
for
a lot.
Each student? Holy shit.
Right. Now, that's a whole different conversation, but Biden straight up came out and said, no, I'm not doing that.
Not happening?
Not happening.
Damn. After they fucking promised it?
Yeah, and they not so much they promised it, they kept pushing for it. They kept saying, "Oh, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done." And and I feel like that was kind of that steamroll momentum prior to the election that really pushed that that
college
campaign.
Students to vote for him, especially.
So again, how big are your blinders? I mean,
right.
Now are your eyes open now? Are you really starting to see what's really going on?
Yeah.
He also did some other things that were really disparaging, particularly to what we hear in the media is. I guess we just need to watch this video, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he said people of color, brown and black, and that they don't have the wherewithal when they live in the rural communities and inner city communities on how to get online.
Jesus. You know that more people have access to cell phones in the world than toilets? So I'm sure most people know how to get online at this point.
But but these are the things that everybody was trying to point out. I feel like prior, everything leading up during the election that the media just didn't focus on.
Yeah.
Because if the media actually did their job and focused on both campaigns truthfully, and showed both people's characters, I feel like there would be a different outcome.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the first time that Biden has come out and made disparaging comments on race or culture, right? I mean, who talks about being in a swimming pool and having little kids mess with his leg hair?
What?
I mean,
he said something about that?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. This guy's crazy. Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, but we kind of digress from that, because I'm sure if any of you out there have watched the video, there was a moment in the town hall where a white woman stood up and she was like, I need to have this. You need to give us this $50,000 student loan forgiveness.
Some college student or something?
No, she actually looked like she was beyond college. She was probably a young, working young adult, maybe a young mother.
Still have.
But the thing is there's such a huge contradiction in what's going on in the world, in our culture right now, because everybody wants to sit here and talk about this white privilege. What are you talking about with white privilege, right? If she's so privileged, why is she asking for debt forgiveness?
Right.
She's got it made.
Right.
She's got it made. I mean, I don't know about you all, but that's kind of contradictory to what you're hearing.
Right.
But it was just it was another display of softball questions, right? That I feel like if there's not a mic in his ear, in Biden's ear, somebody does need to be in his ear, because
right.
He obviously can't even handle those very well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Which brings me to this whole thought process. In fact, it was last night, and I was thinking about I was going through some old video clips, and you can research them on YouTube, everybody, with Obama. And Obama it even said that he would have loved to have been able to be president if he didn't have to speak for himself, if he just had a mic in his ear and somebody was telling him what to say.
Really?
And I was like, and I kept thinking about that, and I'm like, is that what's happening right now?
Right.
Is Obama like speaking to him in his ear?
Right. They got a remote control back there. Like,
the batteries failed.
batteries are short now.
And you see him, and you see Biden start stumbling.
100,000 likes.
We'll have 30 million.
The batteries are going out in this motherfucker.
We'll have 30 million vaccines. Yeah,
I've been hearing they're not going to have this vaccine ready. Speaking of that, for like, what did they say, like 8 months or something until it's even available?
So the vaccine is available.
Yeah, for
right?
like select people, right?
Well, I mean, so what they call first responders, healthcare workers, elderly, right? So I know people that are elderly that finally have appointments, but not until the middle of March now, right? They pushed it off that far, people.
Jeez.
Like they said they were going to have this, right up front.
Yeah, right.
And, even the new administration says that they're going to have 100 million vaccines by July for 100 million Americans. We're coming into March, and they haven't even gotten to the elderly yet.
Right.
How are you going to line everybody up, everybody? I don't know. Maybe you guys know Copperfield tricks that I don't know, like some illusion that's going to happen, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
I just don't think that's going to happen.
Have you heard anything about? I honestly don't know very much about it. So about like it making like nurses sick and like
there's definitely
all of these symptoms that people.
But we've known about this for months. It's been in the news. But again, the media in this country, the government and the media are at such a clash because I feel like there's no accountability in the media.
Yep.
And they just do whatever they want, and then they end up going to some sort of a hearing about something or other. Like Facebook, like Zuckerberg and Dorsey with Twitter and all that crap, and they just walk scot-free. I mean, I feel like there needs to be more accountability, and there's not. That's why I don't really rely on a lot of local sources for media. I'll look in other countries that are looking in, and things like BBC, and even BBC I feel like is a little skewed, but Sky News Australia. Several other outlets, and they'll show you the entirety of the story. They're not afraid.
How do they get better access to the information?
They don't. Our same reporters in this country have the same access, same videos, same everything. They just don't edit it. They show you the real deal.
Oh, gotcha.
They don't
they don't try to manipulate you,
right?
Exactly, by showing you certain words. That makes sense. Yeah.
And so that's the big problem. And they saw the first real cases of adverse effects with these vaccines over in Europe before it was even over here available widespread.
Huh.
And there people getting extremely sick. It affecting women's health, right? Like the way that a woman's body changes and their ability to absorb calcium and their bone density and accelerating osteoporosis and things like that.
Jesus.
Now, if you're talking about sticking that in the arm of an 80-year-old woman,
for real though,
like,
yeah,
what are you going to do when she falls down?
Right?
Because she's got no strength.
Right.
She's got no more mobility. So it's nothing new, but it's just digging through all the shit.
Right.
And actually getting down to the truth. And I'm not even saying that it's all truth, but I'm not going to take one source.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to take one source on its word. I'm going to say, okay, well that seems pretty legit.
Yeah.
Let me verify it.
Exactly.
Let me actually do what a reporter's supposed to do.
Right. I got to report for myself.
Let me actually verify the information.
Right.
Which I feel is a huge travesty. And we've talked about this. I feel like there needs to be some sort of law that if you're in that business, if you take the responsibility to report the news, that news is important. Okay?
Oh yeah, it changes people's lives.
Right. if you're caught manipulating that information or being dishonest with that, I feel like you should be liable.
I agree, but then you get into territory of where do you start cutting off people's freedom of speech.
Oh, you can give them freedom of speech all you want. It's just like right now, we have independent commentary, right? It's our freedom to do that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's our interpretation. But as a reporter, you're to report the facts, right?
Yep.
You're not to report. We're not playing the telephone game here.
Right.
I'm not taking the information you told me and I'm changing a piece of it and giving it to somebody else, and they're changing a piece of it and giving it to somebody else.
But it's probably not the reporters, right? It's probably the people above them who take that information, analyze it, and figure out how to manipulate people to their benefit.
I mean, to some degree, you very well could be right, but I think there's a lot that goes on that it is the independent view of the reporter. I mean, I can give you a handful of cases on each side, right? I can give you a list of names on each side of the fence, and I would tell you, take one story from within the last 6 months that they've all reported on the same story, and watch how each one of them changes
the
it.
facets of it, and yeah. That would be interesting to analyze the same story through multiple media viewpoint lenses.
Right. And that I think is where this huge division happens within the country, because I feel like the common person is willing to sit down and have conversation.
Yeah.
Is willing to exchange ideas. I feel like the reason we get this extremist into things is because of somebody that an individual particularly likes, and that they latch onto it. No different from your favorite YouTube channels. You guys watching us and listening to us ramble on. But I look at it like you need to be a little more open-minded. You can't be so focused on one individual or one entity.
Yeah.
You have to be able to absorb the information, educate yourself, because the only person that's going to get you ahead in life is you.
Right.
So, if you want somebody else to do it for you and you're subject to what they're telling you, you're done, because they know they got you.
Yeah, right.
They know they got you. One of the other things too, what was it? Because it just happened. This is comical. This is comical because they're giving Biden flack because he took some time off and he played Mario Kart.
Okay.
And I'm like,
so what? Somebody got a video of him through his window?
no, they were right next to him. He's in the arcade machine. He's playing Mario Kart. It's him.
Okay.
And I'm like, he obviously can't play golf. He's not going to go out and play polo. He's not I don't think he's an Olympic swimmer.
Right.
I think that isn't his mental capacity. I mean, you sit him in that little chair and he can watch that little screen and he can drive and he can go off someplace and enjoy himself. And I think people need to cut him a little flack on that.
Right.
Seriously, he's doing what he is in his capacity to do.
Right.
Because I don't think he could get through 18 holes.
Right.
I wouldn't want to see him on a ski range.
Right. Oh my God.
He'd make Dick Cheney look like a marksman. I feel like half his security detail would be in the hospital by the time he got done with the round.
Seriously, though. That's a dangerous situation.
Everybody needs to kind of back off the old man on that one. If he wants to do that, then great. I all for him. That's in his capacity.
That's funny.
Where is this? Let's go to entertainment. This should be fun. Oh God.
Kanye's having an especially tough time with his dream girl, Kim Kardashian, divorcing him.
I'm not even going to get into that one.
Next.
Jesus. The only thing I'll say about Kanye is that, did he honestly think he was marrying her for the first time? Like that was her first marriage? Like she hadn't done this before.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a track history here.
Right. Right.
Like,
yeah, it seems like their whole marriage was like a publicity stunt, but
well, you know, and then him. I mean, again, he's free to do whatever he wants. It's America. But you really need to watch that Joe Rogan interview with him.
oh my god, I've seen a clip of it.
And I'm telling you what, it makes me angry that we no longer have psychiatric wards in the country, because they would have been right there at the end of that show.
Right. All right, back in your jacket, Kanye.
Come on.
Can you believe people wanted to vote him in as president? Can you imagine what that crazy motherfucker would do in power?
You know, I really honestly haven't, just because to me personally, thinking about what that severity would look like, I've not invested any mental capacity to it.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Because I don't think that anybody was really excited to think, man, this will be great.
Right?
The old Wheezy here is doing something.
Right.
On the other side of that, have you seen that, you know, he hasn't been holding his congregations, like his church, as often?
Kanye?
Yeah, he's got his own church.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because I've seen him singing with his choir and that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of been, as a fad.
I'm sure that was, just
That
a stunt.
was puffing
Exactly.
away and just
Right.
gone.
Right.
It's like Trump, right? Like, I'm sure he's a wild and out guy.
Yep.
No doubt. I'm sure it's a wild time around that dude. But whoever told him that comb over is a good fucking idea, they need to stop that shit. There's nothing wrong with this, and this is the only reason we haven't done an earlier show, is I've been having troubles with my hair. But I got here.
I made it.
You know, it may take a little more time in the prep room, but I'm here.
Spick and span.
But, yeah, because I look at a guy like Trump, and I'm like, you just go Daddy Warbucks, bud. Just shave that. Just go, I mean, cue ball the hell out of it.
Full cue ball.
You know? Because, you know, and there's a lot of studies that show a lot more women are attracted to men with short or bald heads. Right? Don't get me wrong. You're a good looking guy. You got a nice set of hair on you. You know, you got this nice little crooner thing going on. Right? But certain women really like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But certain women are like, I don't want to compete for time in the bathroom.
Right? That's probably very true. Maybe that's why I don't have a girlfriend.
I think part of the reason you don't have a girlfriend is that you don't get out enough.
Very true.
You don't get out enough.
Yep.
So,
Just the
any
way
of
I
you
like
ladies out there, if you like
Give
this
me a
guy,
call. Leave some in the comments.
Yeah. He is available. That was new. That happened yesterday. I saw that come across the wire.
Marilyn Manson?
Mm-hmm. Being investigated for abuse.
For his wife?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, it's Marilyn Manson. Like,
Yeah, right.
a little late to the game, aren't you?
Yeah,
If you've never seen one of his videos,
right.
probably convict him just off one of those. And this just will not go away. The Gina Carano thing, with them firing her from...
Oh, for Mandalorian, for her Nazi comment.
It just won't go away.
Right.
What I find funny is that you can get on and you can look at different people giving their perspectives on it. And another person in the public eye and who gives public commentary is Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And he backs her 100%.
Really? Guess that doesn't really surprise. He's Jewish too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because she didn't really make a comment that was untrue.
Yeah.
Because of past comments that have been made by Democrats
Yeah.
on how they want to identify Republicans who voted for Trump. And basically she correlated that to what the Nazis did with the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is, you know, that's her take on it, and that's her freedom of speech.
Right.
Again, a powerful commercial entity saw that, and this isn't the first time she's got in trouble with that, right?
For saying something?
Yeah,
She's got in trouble in the past.
for being outspoken.
Uh,
and you know, she's
I mean, that
very
makes
much
sense. She's that type of person. So
she's very much against this whole masking COVID-19 thing. She feels like, it's basically survival of the fittest.
Yeah, that's a little harsh, but
it's weird.
But it's like now I've been reading all these studies that like masks don't even stop the virus. Like there's these doctors talking about, they're like, it's literally like throwing sand through a chain link fence. They're like, yeah, some of the sand's not gonna make it.
Right. But it's like one of our favorite channels we like to watch is the Conservative Twins. They're great guys, and they got a whole episode on it. And they're like, what are you doing for your goddamn eyeballs?
Right?
They're just wide open. That virus is just floating around, just like, I'm going in.
Oh my God.
I am going in.
I'd love to hear those guys talk about that.
You should take a few moments and watch that when you get a chance, because you'll just die laughing. You'll just absolutely die laughing.
I will.
But it's true. It's like we're doing this to everybody, but the most sensitive place on your face is wide open. Your eyeballs.
Right.
What are you doing for your eyeballs? You gonna wear goggles next? And at one point I think Fauci even talked about that.
Everyone wearing goggles?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, all right, you know what?
Jesus Christ.
This is too much. This is just you people are just looking for anything at this point.
Right.
And
it's like at some point there's
it's
not
a
much you
control
can do.
experiment. To me, I think there's some validity in it. I think that if you're in one of those groups where you're not in the high risk, it should be an option, right?
Yeah.
It should be an option. If you're at a high risk, then yeah, maybe you need to take some more medical precautions, and that's the way they should have been pointing this the entire time, because to me it's a control thing, right? It's almost like making you afraid of Bigfoot.
Right. For real though. Some of the people in my school and stuff, seeing the way that it's like literally altered the way that they think and go about their day, and it's like people are like genuinely terrified of this ghost.
Right.
You know? It's like, yeah, it's real and you should be concerned about it, but if you're high risk, take extra precautions, if you're...
Well, and the thing is that it's not like they haven't given options. If you don't want to go to in-person class,
Exactly.
you have that.
Yeah.
You have that option.
For real.
They've accommodated that.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into a store to shop? Look how all the stores instantly had,
Delivery to your door.
Or to your car.
Right?
Right?
Or walking out to your car.
Which is still negates the fact. I mean, that person could be walking around, and if they really are sick with the COVID, they just hand delivered it to you.
Right. Exactly. Literally.
So, but yeah, they've gone out of their way to accommodate people, and it's bad. It's just bad. And to me, this is I'm not going to dive into like a conspiracy theory, right, of sorts, but the entire world, right, except for third world countries that obviously they barely have access to water.
Yeah.
Right. And like everybody's so surprised that another Ebola outbreak happened.
Right.
Like
living in the fucking mud out there. What do you?
I mean, you live in the desert. Sam Kinison was great at that, explaining that, and that's a whole great comedy clip. And he was like, "What are you gonna grow in the fucking sand? What? What are you doing? Why do you not understand why you're starving?"
Right. That's hilarious.
Move!
Right. Get out of there.
Get out! Right. Yeah, to me it's a control thing, and and me personally, I've lost somebody that they tagged with the coronavirus early on, right? Very fit individual, and it was a shocker to everybody. And it was just, it took me because in the beginning I was like, it's the flu.
Yeah.
It's the flu. And then when I heard about his passing, I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Right.
Because I am not a in shape guy. I've got shapes, but I'm not in shape. And here was a guy that would work out 5-6 times a week and run almost every day, and he's gone in 2 weeks after they
He didn't have any like underlying lung conditions or anything?
So even after his autopsy, the only thing that they could see is that he had inflamed liver and kidneys, but that's from the infection, the virus. and inflamed lungs because of the pneumonia, and that was it. No cancer, no other medical conditions. That was it. And if I believe that the virus is real. I'm not going to say it's not.
Oh yeah, no.
It's been on the back of Clorox bottles for decades.
Right.
It's a novel virus.
Right.
But what people fail to really think about and register in their brain is that this wasn't a miracle. This warp speed or light speed or whatever the hell this initiative was for this vaccine is nothing new. They took what they had in cold storage, right, in these labs for coronavirus. They found the one that was the closest to the 19.
Yeah.
And then they compared the two, and they figured out how to create a vaccine from what they already had in stocks. That's all it is.
Yeah, right.
Because it's a virus.
Exactly.
It's mutating. I mean, look what's happening in the news. I mean, there's all these different offshoots that are happening. Some of them are less contagious. Some of them are more. Some of them are more fatal, and some of them aren't. And I'm like, people don't look at the base science of this, is that, yes, your death rate's going to go up in the cold months in the northern hemisphere of the world, right?
Yep.
Just like here in a couple months, when the Earth shifts and the southern hemisphere is in its cold months, guess what? Those numbers are going up.
Right, exactly.
So, but I feel like they're still reporting skewed facts about it too.
Yeah.
Right? Because how many of those individuals were sick with the flu that they're labeling with coronavirus?
Exactly. And I forget who it was released that report on like the literally tens of thousands of false COVID reports from hospitals. Obviously that's how they get their funding, is if they have more cases. So
this is the Gina Carano and Vince Shapiro.
Oh, he's interviewing her.
Yeah.
Wow, this is probably really good.
Yeah. So this is again, this is oh God, come on, you know you want to do it.
Let me teach you the fancy technology. So if you just put two fingers on. Oh.
Woo! See, mine doesn't do that. You have to go up and down on the sidebar.
Oh.
But on the same mouse pad.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's interesting. I really like watching Ben Shapiro, but he talks really fast.
Yeah, he
He talks
does.
extremely fast.
Right.
And it's probably because he doesn't want to have a 45-minute show just on one topic.
Right.
Because he usually has about 10 topics he talks about. He'd be on there for 6 hours. Yep. So, but he's a very intelligent guy. Very intelligent. I would love to actually have a real conversation with him.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking genius. I feel like I couldn't keep up with him because he's moving so fast.
But he is, you watch all these different interviews with him, and when he meets at college campuses, one-on-ones, he'll stop and he'll explain the point of view.
Right. Yeah.
It's not just like he'll go through it, and if you got it, you got it. You could tell him you still don't understand, and he would break it down.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he's one of those guys. I feel like his time is very limited because he is so involved one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
Because let's say he's got 4 things to do, but he comes to talk to you, right? And you got an hour slot. Well, he's not going to stop talking to you until
you get it.
Until you
understand his
and now
perspective.
instead of having 3 or 4 appointments, he's now got 1 more because he overlapped in 2 of those others. So I feel like it would be an awesome opportunity to have that time with him, but I know that once you go in,
it's full speed or nothing.
you better be ready because it's just not it's not going to be quick. So moving on, we're going to talk about science real quick, and then we're going to go into technology and games with you because that's really more your forte. But this was amazing. I watched the landing of the new rover.
Damn.
That was pretty cool.
How was that?
It was cool. It's just like everything else. Oh look, it's falling.
And
Bam. And we're there. And
we did it, everybody.
There's a little silence, and everybody's making sure that everything turns on.
Right.
And it was so funny is because people, they watch this and they call it live, right?
Right, but it actually
it's 11.5-minute buffer.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like.
Right.
It's not like watching a horror movie and expecting the next 3 seconds to something pop out. If you held your breath, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
That's 11 and a half minutes.
For real.
And yeah, that was pretty cool. I think I still think we're putting too much money into a lot of that stuff right now, because we've talked about putting money back into our own research technologies here for the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
like how if we're gonna terraform Mars,
right,
we can't terraform the Earth. We can't use the same machines you're talking about to rebuild our ozone instead of creating one on Mars.
Exactly. I mean, what kind of logical sense is that?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what kind of asinine
it's
thinking is that?
Literally backwards.
I mean,
it's like this planet we were made from this planet for this planet.
You know, Gates, Bezos, Musk. Why don't you stop what you're doing and put half your budget into what's happening right here?
Right.
And fix this first, right? Let's actually finish exploring our oceans.
Right, for real.
Right. Let's do some more, planetary exploration in the forest and rainforest.
Yeah.
Without damaging anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they're called expeditions. It happens all the time.
Right.
I mean, we can do that.
Have you heard about these ancient societies that they're discovering in the Amazon? Because obviously the Amazon is just constantly getting torn down there. People are using the trees for construction, just burning through the forest. And now that they've removed so much of the overgrown wealth, they're finding all these Aztec civilizations that used to live there before the forest started overgrowing all the...
Well, I would imagine so. I'd imagine there's probably eons of history.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, imagine what's behind that freaking closed door. So...
Well, and a lot of that new discovery is stuff that it's kind of funny, because some of the technology they're using in that is what these companies have been using for innovating self-driving cars, and it's called LiDAR.
LiDAR, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And LiDAR is an amazing tool, and it gives an amazing amount of detail for what the technology is. And if you guys don't know what that is, you really need to go and like Waymo and some of these other self-driving car companies that are out there, look at some of the technologies they use. And we've all seen the mapping vehicles out there with Google and Microsoft and Apple, and just everybody out there is like trying to capture as much imagery as they can get. And you'll see the camera, and then you'll see this funny little thing that's about the size of a Coke can that sits there and spins, right? And what that's doing is it's shooting out a laser.
Exactly, yeah.
And its ability to capture that information back is amazing. And the detail you get off of that, it's almost like, I tell everybody, it's like looking at everything in predator vision.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right? To the naked eye, you can't see it.
Yeah.
You turn on your predator vision and boom, and you see all this depth, and you see all these nooks and crannies you didn't see before.
Right.
And they've been using that for a long time, and they're using it a lot right now here in this country with mapping our national trail system.
Wow, that's cool.
Putting them on drones, and they're flying these drones to these sections of the natural trail system, and they're able to actually find paths that have been abandoned for years.
Wow.
In a lot of territories, both out here out west and back east, finding travel paths of explorers and pioneers that have been lost to the ages because recorded documents have been destroyed or lost. Especially when everybody was coming west, they figured that there was only these, handful of routes, the old Oregon Trail, right, and the old California gold rushes and everything. There's only a handful of routes that you could use. Well, they've used LiDAR now and figured out there were hundreds of routes that they used that at a distance, as they're mapping with the LiDAR, they can see it. But to the naked eye, we can't see it, right? Because of the depressions in the ground. Yeah. And then they go and they start doing some excavations on some of these areas, and there's now they're finding all these artifacts, like you're saying.
Wow.
To huge benefit. Takes a lot of mystery out of some of the things in life, right? Some of the magic, if you were. Could you imagine that if you were someplace and you just found an abandoned town?
Right.
Or not even a town, just an abandoned set of buildings or structures that no one even knew about.
Nobody's ever seen,
But it obviously at some point had some sort of importance.
Right.
Right? That's magical. And now they got drones flying around everywhere, like something out of T2.
Right? HK's flying around fucking
Scanning for life forms.
Right.
It's the machines! We're done!
Real.
Bye.
Have you seen that video of that guy blow up his backyard, trying to burn down that anthill?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know what made me think of that. Trying to light it on fire. Boom! Oh shit! Jesus Christ!
How much? You know what I think is really cool? It's off subject. We talk about anthills. If you ever get a chance to watch these people that cast fire anthills with aluminum,
I've seen that before.
that is the coolest thing
Yeah.
in the world, man. And
And then-
people are like,
yeah.
it's so bad, you're killing the ants. And I'm like, if you think those ants care about you, go put your bare asshole on that hill, and then you tell me if you appreciate that ant.
Right.
Because those fire ants don't want anything to do with you.
Exactly. For real. I thought you were going to talk about those guys who do those ant farms on YouTube, like those giant ant farms. Like they fill their houses with like their aquariums, basically.
Mhm.
Not, I don't know what terrarium is what it's called. They're giant terrariums filled with ants, and then they interconnect them with tubes. And there's these guys who do these whole series on feeding them, and they follow the ants throughout their lifetimes, and you get to watch the structures that the ants build. And it's like this guy's dedicated his entire house and his life, most likely, to like these ants and supporting them, and that's what I thought you were going to talk about.
No, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine if something breaks on that?
I know, right? He talks about how like there's an episode where he's getting leaks and ants are starting to get out, so he runs up and he puts like this slippery gel on the side of the thing so that the ants start slipping and they fall back in the gel, and so he's got emergency precautions for every scenario. That's nothing like those people who fucking house all those snakes and tarantulas and shit.
Oh, I you know, and animals fascinate me. Insects fascinate me, you know. But you look at what some of these people do and how they live their lives.
Right.
And, you know, you look at some of these people that have these, you know, venomous insects that they keep in these containers.
Right.
And you don't see anything, and they go to feed them, and these things come lurching out. And it's like, you keep that in your apartment.
Right. Like those trapdoor spiders.
You keep that in your apartment.
Right.
This isn't a mouse that gets out,
Right.
right?
There are those people who sell snake venom, you know, and they literally grab the fucking snake out of this
Oh, yeah.
thing, fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, Jesus.
I know
Christ.
a guy that used to work for one of those agencies here locally, that he would travel around these areas during the summer and collect the prey rattlers, and then they would milk them. They would take them back to the facility. They would raise them up and they would milk them, and because there's, you know, a huge shortage of antivenoms, and he was crazy.
You gotta be fucking crazy.
He was crazy. I remember seeing him one day. This is years ago, but I had lent him some tools or something. He was working on something, and I told him I need to come pick him up, and he said sure. And it was a Saturday morning, and it was early. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I showed up. And he comes rolling up. He wasn't home. He had been out all night, and he hoped, because I was beating on his door, and he wasn't answering the door. And then he comes rolling down the road and hits his garage door opener, and I thought he was home, and he wasn't. Pulls in the garage, and you know, he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, pretty good." "What? You're already up?" "I didn't know." He's like, "I've been up all night." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I've been catching all night." And he had 3 pillowcases. Like, you know, I call them pillowcases. They're probably cotton bags. But,
Okay, yeah.
But that's what they look like, was pillowcases. Filled
With fucking snakes?
with rattlesnakes.
Jesus
In
Christ.
the back of this truck. And
Oh
they're
my
just,
God.
these bags are just,
Fucking rolling
Yeah.
around. And oh my God.
I'm like, "What are you going to do with these?" He's like, "I'm going to take a quick shower and get some food, and then I'm going to run them down to the facility." And I'm like, "How many snakes are in there?" He goes, "I don't know, I lost count." What are you doing?
Right?
What are you doing? And he literally just has, I don't even know what that metal stick is that's got the little bend on it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all he's got.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
all he has. And
That's crazy.
The other thing that's crazy about that is this dude runs around and does this with no anti-venom in his truck.
Jesus.
None. He's been bitten like 5 times. Like, but he does this with no anti-venom at all. Oh,
That's crazy.
I think it's bedtime for the rooster.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, we know it's not because it's still too early. But yeah, no anti-venom. Like, what are you talking about?
For real, been bit 5 times? Like, Jesus.
But
Do you know who Randy Rhoads is?
Randy Rhoads,
The guitarist.
sounds familiar.
He was the lead guitarist for Quiet Riot, and then he went on to be
Okay.
Ozzy Osbourne's lead guitarist.
Okay.
Do you know how he died?
No.
So I didn't know Randy Rhoads. I had heard that he had died in a plane crash, but I didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
So I was watching this video yesterday about Randy Rhoads and how he died, and so do you know who Jerry Calhoun is?
No.
He's a millionaire guy, but I didn't really know who he was before the video either. But during their tour, Ozzy and the whole band went to stay at Jerry Calhoun's mansion. And Jerry had a bunch of planes and like a runway out there. And their tour bus driver, Andrew Aycock, was a pilot. So he convinced Randy to get in this plane with him so that they could, fly around the town or whatever. And little did Randy know he was high as fuck on cocaine. And so they're fucking making passes around Jerry Calhoun's house trying to get Ozzy's attention. So they're flying down. Ozzy's tour bus is sitting in the driveway. And they're flying down going, "Meow," circling around, "Wow," trying to get Ozzy's attention multiple times. Ozzy is fucking sedated 24/7. Obviously, you aren't going to get his fucking attention. But, so on the forced pass, they're coming around and the wing clipped the tour bus. Fucking spun the plane out of control, and they crashed into Jerry Calhoun's mansion and lit the whole thing on fire, and they all burned to death in the plane. I was like, I had known about Randy Rhoads. I'd loved him as a guitarist, obviously, and I'd heard that he had died in a plane crash, but I had no idea that it was literally just some stunt that they were fucking around trying to get Ozzy's attention, and piled a plane into the side of Ozzy's tour bus, tipped the whole bus over. Then the plane went spinning out of control, destroyed Jerry's entire mansion, and then they burned to death in there. Just a crazy story that I didn't even know anything about, but
That was a good little piece of history.
just something random. Because I feel like I knew a lot about Randy Rhoads and about classic rock artists and stuff in general, but I had no idea because I was looking into him and I was like, he died at 25? I was like, how did he freaking... It was 1982 when he died. I was like, how?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you start watching any of that, I think it's always fascinating because you see behind the closed doors and you see behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And you actually get to see how crazy these people's lives really
Right.
were. And honestly, the whole term of, drug, sex, and rock and roll, I mean, that was their life.
Right.
Right? Like, that's literally what fueled them
Right.
when they were young. And I mean,
Right.
and the crazy things, like, what was the name of the movie they did about Poison?
It was about Motley Crue.
Or Motley Crue,
It's
yes.
called Dirt, or The Dirt.
Yeah, The Dirt.
Yeah.
When I watched that, I was like, what?
I still haven't seen it. I need to watch it.
Oh,
I can't
man.
believe I haven't. Because my sister has told me how freaking crazy it is.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And then, like, we've talked about, like Freddie Mercury and Elton John and some of these other movies and documentaries that are out. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane you get to separate the bullshit
Right,
from
exactly.
reality.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes the bullshit was actually of lesser damage than the reality of it is.
Right, exactly.
Because nobody really knew what was going on.
Exactly. It's like in 1984 when Van Halen released 1984, they had this whole thing, a partnership with MTV where people could sign up for this, I forget what it was, like a raffle basically, and one lucky person got to tour with them for a week. And it was this kid who was like 17 years old. So he's in this documentary, and now he's like 50 obviously, and he's talking about how fucking insane it was. He was like from the moment we walked in, fucking, they're literally doing lines of coke in the middle of a room filled with 100 people. Nobody gives a fuck. Naked women walking around literally everywhere. And like, he's like talking about being a 16-year-old kid and going around with Van Halen in the fucking height of their time. It was an insane, because he got it all from the straight perspective through no filter. He was there
Right.
with them and saw everything that they did. So it was crazy, like you said, to see behind those closed doors that
Right.
that always get altered from our perspectives when we hear the story. So
Well, it's like you look at all these people that, what I call them is stage performers. They're not just musicians, but they're also like theatrical performers
Yeah.
on stage. Like we were
Mhm.
just talking about Marilyn Manson. Like
yeah,
he could definitely make that music and not look that way, right? But it adds to the depth. It's like Gore, right? Like they're in full costumes. Like they're doing all this crazy stuff. It's like Kiss. They're in full
right.
costumes,
The fucking
right?
face paint. And,
You know, and you separate the layers, and you get into what the reality was. And you know, one of my favorites is Pink Floyd, because there's always these obscure, like radical stories of how they met and what they did, and then the reality is you get into it, and yeah, there was some crazy things that happened, but the reality is they were just normal people.
exactly.
And
yeah.
they were just really deep thinkers, you know.
Mhm.
They're very and they're very troubled. They're very troubled, growing up, and their past definitely had a huge part of their music. But when I was growing up, there's always these crazy stories of how they met and what they did behind stage, and I'm sure some of it isn't even documented, and some of it's probably true, but it's just amazing to sit there and watch and look at the two sides of everything. And yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating
Right.
to see that. Same thing can be said on a lot of sports personalities, right? And a lot of people think every sports personality has got like this big lavish lifestyle, and same thing about actors,
Mhm.
right? Like Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones, when he's not working, he's still working because he has a huge cattle ranch in Texas.
Yeah, right. Right.
Right? He's a rancher
Yeah.
in real life. That's what he does.
Yeah. Just a
You know?
regular person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I'm like, and people are like, they're so enamored by
Yeah.
they live this lavish lifestyle. I think Tommy Lee Jones would beg to differ. He's
Right.
stepping in cow shit and dealing with fly spray, right? Like he's having to round up, runaway heifers.
right. Literally, though. But it's because he wants to do it, It's like,
Right. And a lot of that is true. Like if you had the money to live that way,
Yeah.
you could be a baller,
for real.
right? But then you end up like 90% of them and have nothing by the time you're 50,
Exactly.
right? And you'd be working at a Jiffy Lube.
Jesus.
So, but that's the separation. Like the people need. It's always cool to hear the backstory on a lot of stuff.
Right.
And then the really true oddball ones are the ones that are like either they're super famous, or they're a super super famous sports star or a musician, and they come from more money than God,
Mm-hmm.
right? And no matter how many rails of coke they do, how many drugs, and how many rehab sessions they go through, they will never burn through what they can burn through.
Yeah.
It's impossible. They literally will die before they run out of money. It's like, those are the real rarities that you
Yeah.
read about them and you watch about them. You're like, you just stop, dude.
Just relax.
Just chill, right? Like, go sit in the pool. Stop trying to kill yourself.
Maybe take a back seat on this one.
I don't know if you've seen this yet.
Damn, I have not seen this.
Oh no. It's not working. How come your two finger thing's not working?
Because you're not doing it right.
Oh, I was going the wrong direction.
Okay, I see.
Sub-Zero. That's freaking cool.
Where's your...
You gotta hold FN and then up on the arrow key over there.
First learned about this 7 years ago. On a mission in Brazil to capture a wanted fugitive. When we got there, it tore through our unit in seconds. it has superhuman abilities.
Jesus Christ.
It had the same marking you do, Cole. It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you've been chosen.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world reference a great tournament of champions. That dragon marking? I think it's an invitation to fight for something known. As Mortal Kombat.
These are your champions.
I'm Sonya. That's Kano.
Okay. Thanks, Jax.
Kung Lao.
All right.
The fate of Earth is in our hands.
No matter how many of my people we put in the ground, we will not fail. Kill them.
Oh my god. That looks epic as hell. And they got everybody in there.
Kano wins. You fucking beauty.
Jesus Christ. That's insane.
You know, I am super stoked. This whole concept with, HBO and HBO Max has done this whole partnership so that all these movies that would be released in the theaters are simultaneously released, right? It's an awesome concept, right? I feel like it is the perfect entryway to finally end the conversation of should Hollywood be focused more on the quality of their content and giving the option of the user experience in the theater. We've talked about this. It's a good time to go to the movies, but when you're a single or you're dating, it's not that big a deal. Families, it's ridiculous because it turns into a half a day or an all-day event.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it becomes grossly expensive. You know, and I feel like I don't feel like I'm alone, and I'm sure, you all can let us know what you think in the comments, is that I'd be willing to pay $30 or $40 to buy the movie or see the movie at home, at the comfort of my own home, right?
On the day of release,
Right.
yeah.
And as opposed to going someplace and paying 7,000% for a box of popcorn
Right.
and a half 2 liter of Coke,
Right.
right? Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and I get it. Those theater systems and everything that they are, they're in the business of selling the candy. They're in the business of selling the soda. I don't feel like they need to be that big anymore. I don't feel like they need to be these huge megaplexes anymore.
Yeah, right. And they are, they're dying out, guaranteed.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at look at the ones that are just closest to us. I mean, you've got no less than 3 different options to go look at a movie in the theater with a facility that's got 12 screens.
Yep.
Or more. Why? I mean, I've been wondering that for years, and I understand that there's a magic that happens when you sit there and those lights go down and that sound is just all around you. It's completely immersive, right? But we have the technology.
We have the technology.
Right. I mean, we've got 65-inch TVs.
Yeah.
We've got soundbar systems that rival the best movie theater you're ever going to go to for next to nothing.
Right.
Right? And the one thing you cannot replicate, and that's they've tried this with putting those new fancy chairs and things in these theaters, or they've even tried building these theaters where you can eat an entire meal while you're watching your movie. You cannot replicate the comfort at home.
Exactly. It just can't be done. Yeah, for real.
That's why DVD and digital sales are so high, and Blu-ray are so high.
Used to be.
Well, used to be. But, you know, you still have a lot of people that just wait until it comes out.
Like me.
Right.
Every time. The new Star Wars, everybody was waiting in line, packed outside to see it. I was like, I'm not going to do that. It's not worth the effort of waiting outside for 6 hours in line.
But I think what HBO and HBO Max is doing is amazing, because I got to see Wonder Woman 84 that way. That was awesome. There's some, you know, we got Godzilla and Kong coming out next month. That's going to be awesome.
Epic.
Now we got this coming out. That's going to be awesome.
That looks sick as hell. I haven't even heard anything about that. So that
I think you did. That's why I was like, hey,
hell
let me
yeah.
show you something.
Right, let me show you something.
Well, folks, if there's something you want us to look up and talk about, we're happy to. Thanks for joining us. It's been fun as always. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. We would love to hear from you guys. Any ideas or topics. And don't be afraid, ladies, don't be afraid to reach out to Rooster, because he definitely needs a friend.
Yep, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments. We'll respond to everything that you guys say. So,
I guess until next time, as long as I can get my hair done on time, we'll see you soon. Have a great night, everybody.